All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the one and only Wrestling Otaku channel. Of course, your personification of excellence on YouTube and YWC. We're the best reviews wrestling, and your three-time YWC channel of the year. And I'm back here. It is officially Monday, March the 10th of 2025. So I figure I'd go ahead here, and since we are almost one day removed from quite possibly one of the best AEW shows we've seen in quite some time, I figured I'd go ahead and give you guys a little recap slash review of AEW's Revolution 2025 pay-per-view that, of course, took place last night on Sunday, March 9th. And let me just say this, and I don't think this for me, this is not just me saying it. This is not just me overhyping it, or this is not just hyperbole. I personally believe, after watching this pay-per-view that we saw last night, this is one of the best AEW pay-per-views I've seen in this company's history. I personally think this is one of the best pay-per-views that this company has ever produced in their 6-year history. It may arguably be one of the best pay-per-views in pro wrestling history. I'm willing to go that far. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, you're just overhyping it, and blah, 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 and it wasn't that good, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you're going to have those fucking, people out there. But my opinion is my opinion. I personally think this is one of the best AEW pay-per-views we've seen in its entire history. Okay, and that's saying something, because AEW's had some badass fucking pay-per-views last year, the year before, and this is just AEW, this is just their first show. Their first pay-per-view of 2025, Revolution. They still got, a number of pay-per-views going on, for the remainder of the year. You got All In, you got Forbidden Door, got Dynasty next month, and so on and so forth. But I personally think this is a candidate already for pay-per-view of the year, show of the year, possibly greatest pay-per-view of all time in terms of AEW. It's definitely top 3 or top 5. I'll put in that conversation already. But it was that good, dude. Just based on the strength of those matches on the main card alone, the strength of those 9 matches on the main card, up and down the card, it was that fucking good. And a lot of people tend to agree with me just based on what I've seen on social media, people talking about this match, or talking about this pay-per-view, talking about this show. So I wanted to go ahead and give my overview, if you will, my recap slash review of the show. I did watch it, I watched the main card in its entirety. I only got to watch one match on the 0 hour, just because, again, I didn't get home until like a little after 7, so I was only able to catch one match. But anyway, so I wanted to go through the results here. I wanted to go over each of the results just briefly and get my overall thoughts. So first we had, on the 0 hour, we had Commander and Hologram teaming up to take on Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. Of course, Commander and Hologram got the win there. That was a 9-minute 55 match there. 9 minutes and 55 seconds that match was. So then we had Daniel Garcia and the Undisputed Kingdom, that being Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly, going over versus Shane Taylor Promotions in an 8-man tag. That was a 9 minute and 10 match. 9 minutes, 10 seconds, the length of time for that match there. And then also, I don't see it listed here, but there was supposed to be a match between Chris Jericho and Gravity for the Ring of Honor title, Ring of Honor Championship, which was advertised. And I believe that match ended in no contest. Like I said, they don't even have it listed here, so I'm not sure what happened there. And then the final match on the 0 hour, this match I actually did see, was a 6-man tag match. Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe teamed up with Big Boom AJ to take on Johnny TV and MXM Collection. That's Mansoor and Mason Madden. Decent little match here. It was fun for what it was. It was about 12 minutes. Obviously, Big Boom AJ, Mark Briscoe, and Orange Cassidy picked up the victory after Big Boom AJ got the pin on, I believe it was Johnny TV, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been Mansoor. I'm pretty sure that it was Johnny TV. But anyway, so fun little match there. People are going to complain about it because, oh my God, it's so gimmicky and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, you had the kid, Big Justice, hit a move on a wrestler in a match. And I mean, folks, it's not to be taken seriously. Like, there's a reason why it's on the 0 hour and not on the main show. Like, the match was what it was. It was obviously to promote, to hype. Hype, Big Boom, AJ, and he's being featured in another match. This is his second match in AEW, and it's a tag match. You had all the kind of little spots, the bells and whistles, and I think both teams did all right here. So Big Boom AJ in the second match, he was decent for. You don't expect too much. You don't expect too much from a guy like this, but it is what it is. I thought he did well. But anyway, so obviously that match was fine for what it was. I thought it was okay. It was a 0 hour match, so not too much thought is given about that. But I thought it was a fine 12-minute match for what it was. But anyway, so then we move on to the main show, the main course, if you will. we get the main Revolution pay-per-view match card. We started off hot, man. We started off with Hangman Adam Page 1-on-1 versus MJF. What a physical match this was. These guys went back and forth, fought tooth and nail. This was 19 minutes. They went 19 minutes and 10 seconds in this match. They gave some they dished out some heavy shots, heavy offense. Both guys took turns beating each other up. MJF at one point focused on the arm, one of the arms, I believe the left arm of Hangman. He had him in a submission, a couple times. And it was a back and forth match. At one point, MJF hit a nasty running tombstone pile driver on Hangman Page on the outside of the ring, right on top of a chair, spiked his head on the chair, on a seated chair on the outside. It was a nasty spot. A lot of people were saying, oh my God, that was a nasty spot I took on the outside. But anyway, so Hangman fought back, and eventually the match ends with Hangman hitting a series of moves. He hit the dead eye in the middle of the ring on MJF, pulled him up, hits him with an angel's wings, of course, homage to Christopher Daniels, who, of course, he was engrossed in that whole thing. But he really, the way he hit this angel's wings, it was just he just hit it in such a way that it was just really devastating. MJF landed damn near face first on the mat. He literally got planted right on his face with his angel's wings. It was like Hangman Page hit this thing with a certain kind of. He hit it different, than Christopher Daniels usually does. He kind of modified it. He kind of swung MJF's body in the air and then drove him down. Like I said, face first, his face planted, MJF's face planted right on the mat. A lot of people were worried, oh my God, MJF took such a face plant on that move, he'll be injured. And then Hangman Page finishes him off with buckshot lariat, hits him square in the ring, gets the pin, clean pin in the ring, 1, 2, 3. Hangman Adam Page defeats MJF, and so that's how the match ends. So solid match there. 2 thumbs up for that. It was a great outing between these two. And it's great to see Hangman Page pick up the victory here. It's much needed. With all due respect to MJF, I think Hangman needed the win here a little more, and I did state that in my predictions video for this pay-per-view. Which, by the way, speaking of my predictions, I'm pretty sure I was perfect in terms of my picks for this show. I think I was I didn't get a single pick wrong, if I'm not mistaken. I think I predicted every single match winner accurately. I'll have to go back and look again, but I'm pretty sure that I did not get a single pick wrong on the show. So, I mean, maybe the Chris Jericho Gravity match because that didn't have a finish, but I don't know. But I'm pretty sure, at least in terms of the main card, I got every single match right. I predicted every single match right. Pat myself on the back for that one. What can I say? I know how to pick these AEW shows. I know the direction they're going. Anyway, next up, second match. This one made for the AEW TBS Championship. The champion Mercedes Moné defended against Momo Watanabe. Really solid match here between these two ladies. 18 minutes, 30 seconds this match went. Both ladies took each other to the limit, to the wire. These two ladies are familiar with each other. They wrestled each other last year. It was mentioned a multitude of times on commentary. And and once again, Mercedes Moné has had the string of matches against opponents in defense of this TBS title. And she's having some of the best matches of her career, man. Those 2 matches she wrestled against Chris Statlander last year, the match she had against Mina Shirakawa at Wrestle Dynasty, and now this match here against Momo Watanabe. She's had an impressive stretch of title defenses and of matches, and she's undefeated, currently in AEW. And her undefeated streak continued because she got the win here. Hit Momo Watanabe with with her finisher. I forget what she calls that move, where she has her on her back and then drives her down face first, and then she applies her submission, and Momo Watanabe taps out seconds later. So Mercedes Moné gets the win here. She retains the TBS title, which I expected. And Mercedes Moné, as I said in my prediction video, she's having the best run of her career. I don't care what anybody says. Go argue with a wall. Okay, straight up, go argue with a wall if you want to dispute that, if you want to refute that. Mercedes Moné is having the best run of her career, no doubt. Great match there. So another great outing there. So next up, we get our third match of the show, a low-key match of the year, match of the night candidate. Definitely a dark horse here. It was Swerve Strickland 1-on-1 versus Ricochet, number 1 contenders match. And boy, did these two guys go at each other in this match. We've seen these guys wrestle before on Dynamite weeks ago, which of course Ricochet got the win through some heelish tactics and so on and so forth, through some chicanery at the end, which was mentioned in the video package. And then obviously the whole thing with Ricochet having Prince Nana's robe and the whole, dispute involving that, Prince Nana, the emotions involving that. And just a back and forth, the story told, the storytelling during the match, they're at it. It was just great, man. It was great to see these two guys go at each other, just back and forth, both guys hitting signature moves on each other. At one point, Ricochet had control of the match. Prince Nana actually walked out of the Prince Nana actually walked out at one point, and he was gone for a good while. And as Ricochet was taking the offense in the match, he was taking control of the match. And Ricochet at one point hits the 630, clean in the ring, gets a very close near fall swerve. At one point hits a series of moves, hits the swerve stomp, right dead on Ricochet, gets a close near fall on that. So both guys kicking out of each other's signature moves, finishes here. So eventually Prince Nana does come back out. He grabs the robe that Ricochet had on the ramp. And Ricochet eventually, catches Prince Nana with a dive, takes the robe back, and you see a little tug of war between the two. And Ricochet actually wears the robe in the ring and, wrestles Swerve with it. So back and forth again, both guys go. Eventually, Swerve takes control again. Nana at one point, literally pulls, he's in the ring, he pulls the robe off of Ricochet. And then Swerve inadvertently knocks Nana down. Ricochet tries to take advantage. Swerve gets back in it. Swerve hits 2 consecutive house calls for a very close near fall. Then eventually he puts Ricochet away with the big pressure. Square in the middle of the ring. Plants him down. Gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Swerve Strickland gets the win. He gets a measure of revenge against Ricochet for that loss that he took weeks ago at Dynamite, and for taking Prince Nana, and for him taking Prince Nana's robe. Nana gets the robe back. The crowd celebrates. The crowd is loving it. Which, by the way, there are a lot of celebrities. They showed a lot of camera shots of the crowd because there were some celebrities, some famous folks in the crowd. They were in Los Angeles. It was a packed house in the Crypto.com arena. One of them, Leslie Jones, was very vocal in this match. Leslie Jones is she's this TV personality. She's been a part of several shows. I'm somewhat familiar with her, but she was in the crowd. She was getting animated. She was yelling and screaming throughout this match, and the camera kept showing her. And you saw people on social media mention it, Leslie Jones is a riot in the crowd or whatever. And she was obviously behind Swerve for this match. So and Swerve won, and she was she really got animated afterwards. So yeah, that was funny. And they saw some other celebrities in the crowd, in the front row, the first couple rows in the show. And it was great, man. It was great to see all these celebrity appearances. It was great to see all these famous people, these movie stars and all these people who are well known for their time, in movies and TV, attending an AEW show. So again, nobody watches AEW. AEW isn't mainstream, but you got all these, TV personalities and all these movie stars attending the show. So there you go. What does that tell you? But anyway, Swerve Strickland gets the win, and by virtue of that, he is the new number 1 contender for the AEW World title, which of course that match will take place in the main event of the show, which I'll get to. And Prince Nana's in the ring. He has the robe back. He's, elated. He celebrates with Swerve. He does the Swerve dance, leads that whole thing. Leads to whose house? Swerve's house. It was a great moment. Nana and Swerve hug. Nana puts the robe on Swerve, and it was a great moment, man. I personally thought, a lot of people thought going in, that maybe Nana was going to, tease a turn on Swerve, especially when he walked out. A lot of people thought, Swerve... Nana was walking out on Swerve, but he came back and he paid dividends later in the match. And so, great shit, man. Great stuff. Swerve gets the win. Great match with Ricochet. And Swerve is the new number 1 contender for the AEW World title. But great shit. 18-minute match there, by the way. This was, 18 minutes, 10 seconds. So that was pretty much it for that. So now our 4th match saw the AEW Continental Championship being defended. It was Kazuchika Okada 1-1 versus Brody King. Very physical match here. Close to an 11-minute match. Both guys go back and forth. Really, it was Brody King, for the most part, using his size and his strength to his advantage, just kind of dominating for the most part Okada. It's been the first time in a good while that we've seen Okada kind of dominated in a match, just physically. But of course, Brody King's an opposing dude, so he was... Okada took a lot of abuse in this match. He was, thrown around. Brody hit a bunch of cannonballs. Cannonballs in the ring. Dives on the outside, stuff like that. And Okada was, on the defense for most of this match. But eventually, Okada did get some offense. He hits his signature. He hits the DDTs. Hits the neck breaker. Hits neck breaker. At one point, hits the diving elbow, and. And then eventually, Okada starts to take control of the match. Brody King makes a late comeback. And then eventually the match ends with Brody T's going for a big move. Okada counters. Okada ducks a clothesline attempt. Okada catches him from behind, hits the Rainmaker clothesline square in the ring, gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. Okada gets the win by hook or by crook, and Okada remains the AEW Continental Championship, Continental Champion, at least for now. And I'm telling you, man, the two matches that Okada had against Buddy Matthews and against Brody King here, they've really established themselves as singles guys. Like, they hold their own against Okada. You hold your own against Okada, you're showing that you got a lot of potential as a singles wrestler. Although, I think personally, Buddy Matthews and Brody King are best as a tag team, and I do think they should be a staple in the tag division. But a good match here, solid match. This was actually one of the shorter matches on the show. It was only about 10 minutes, 55 seconds. Like I said, close to an 11-minute match. But I think they worked well with what time they were given. So Okada gets the win here. Kazuchika Okada is still your Continental Champion. So moving on. So the fifth match of the show is another title match, this one being a tag match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. The Hurt Syndicates, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin versus the challengers, the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum. The crowd was kind of split for most of this. Later on, it seems like there were more pulling for the Hurt Syndicate. It seems like the Hurt Syndicate is really getting some, positive reaction from the crowd, even though they're heels. But the Hurt Syndicate dominated for the most part. Then Outrunners made a nice, babyface comeback late. And it seems like I said, the crowd was kind of split because you would think that the Outrunners would be the heavy fan favorites. And it seems like the crowd was, especially as the match went along, the crowd was a little more so in the corner of the Hurt Syndicate than they were for the Outrunners, which is a little odd. But both teams went well. This match went about as I expected. This was actually the shortest match of the show. It only went about 8 minutes. So it was only about an 8 minutes 40 seconds. Like I said, the Outrunners made a little comeback late. Then MVP, motivated Lashley and Benjamin. Lashley and Benjamin get back into the match. They start to take control again. They hit a series of moves, lifting knee strike, spear by Lashley on Truth Magnum, lifting knee strike, spear by Lashley on Turbo Floyd. Shelton Benjamin gets the pin on him. 1, 2, 3. The match ends. Hurt Syndicate win the match. They retain the AEW World Tag Team titles in a somewhat dominant fashion. Like I said, the Hurt Syndicate had control for most of this match. In the early going, like I said, the Outrunners, got some offense in, and then, that's when the Hurt Syndicate, shortly after that, the Hurt Syndicate took control. Then the Outrunners made a late comeback. Then the Hurt Syndicate put them away at the end, and so that's pretty much it for that. So the Hurt Syndicate remains AEW World Tag Team Champions, and they're as dominant of a team as anybody right now in AEW in the tag division. So it's going to be quite some time before we see a team give these guys a challenge, but I look forward to it. And AEW's tag division is shaping up to be pretty good. And don't count out the Outrunners just yet. I know, with as over as they've been with the crowd, since the crowd really started to get behind them, I think at some point AEW will pull the trigger and they will give these guys a run of the titles, but not quite now. Not quite at this point, because you got the Hurt Syndicate and they're really getting over with the fans, so that's a good thing to see. But anyway, that's pretty much it for that. Like I said, that's the shortest. This was actually the shortest match on the show. 8 minutes, 40 seconds. So moving on. So next up, we get the first of a series of, you could say, match of the night candidates, match of the year candidates, however you want to put it. The next couple matches were that good. We start with our AEW Women's World Championship match, the Hollywood Ending, as it was called. No disqualification, false count anywhere match. The champion timeless Toni Storm defended against the Glamour Mariah May. Oh my fucking God, what a match this was. Jesus Christ almighty. These ladies went all out for this shit. They were bloodied. They were busted. Toni Storm, I'm telling you, early in this match, she took a bump on the steel steps. I believe it was Mariah May hit the Storm Zero on top of the steel steps. Toni Storm was bloody all over her face, dude. All over her face. She was gushing blood from that fucking spot. I was like, oh my fucking God, dude. She is bleeding all over the place, man. Holy shit. This was early in the match, too. This was like 2-3 minutes in. And I was like, oh my God, she is bleeding all over the place. And then they fought in the ring. Toni Storm made a comeback. At one point, they brought champagne bottles in the ring. They had champagne, like, smash the glass from the champagne was in these little tubs or whatever. And they basically threw champagne glass in the ring. It was all around the inside of the ring. And they were throwing shards at each other. They wrapped tape around their hands, and they had shards of glass in their hands. And fucking Mariah May got busted open as well. And they're just bleeding all over the place. Both ladies, both of them bleeding all over the place, hitting these spots on each other. fought inside the ring, outside the ring. It was a bloodbath, dude. It was a absolute bloodbath, man. You want to talk about a final ending? That's exactly what this was. But they took some table spots, chair spots, the champagne glass, like I said. At one point, freaking Mariah May smashed a champagne bottle right in between freaking Toni Storm's legs. I was like, oh my God, dude, that had to fucking hurt. I was like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, these two ladies are going all at it, man. These two women are going at it, dude. Holy shit. But this match only went like, close to 13 minutes. It was only about a 12 minute 55 second match, close to 13 minutes. Like I said, it felt like it was longer than that. Like, honestly, it felt like it was a 16, 17 minute match. I'm actually surprised they only gave them 13 minutes here. They should have went a little bit longer than that, but that's just me. But I mean, considering what happened in it, people still think this was a badass match. But anyway, so they fought up. They go up the rampway. They fight up the rampway. Toni Storm takes advantage, spikes Mariah May on the stage. At one point, drives her off the stage. That was early in the match, actually. But then they fight back on the top of up the rampway. They fight up the rampway up to the top of the stage. Toni Storm takes the shoe, the heel, which is symbolic. It was the same heel that Mariah May used to bloody up, Toni Storm, hit her in the face with it when she first turned. So kind of coming full circle here. And the blood, the heel of the shoe still had like blood stains on it. Obviously from Toni Storm from back when. Obviously, again, this was symbolic. So Toni Storm takes that heel, grabs Mariah May, and then hits her repeatedly right in the face with it. Then she lifts her up, or pulls her down, I should say, between her legs. Hits the Storm Zero. They were like on top of an elevator. I think like on top of some steps or whatever, some elevated platform. Hits the Storm Zero, drops her off this platform through a table, or it was like a table-like structure, whatever the hell it was. Hits her with the Storm Zero, drives her through that, drives Mariah May through that. Then she pulls her body over, gets the pin, hits the 1, 2, 3, gets the 1, 2, 3, and emphatically, this match is over. Toni Storm gets the win, puts away Mariah May. She wins the series, if you will. 2 matches to 1, and Toni Storm is still the AEW World's Heavyweight Champion, and it finishes with her music playing, and then on the screen, on the big screen, on the 2 big screens, you see the end, because again, this was the Hollywood ending, so this was the end of the Hollywood ending, so this was a badass match. This was a badass match, man. What a story, what a finish, what a match, what a series, what a feud, rivalry these two have had, man. It's going to be hard to top that. It's going to be hard to stop something like this in the women's division. But, man, what an outing they had here. And a lot of people were saying that this match should have main evented. Even before the show, a lot of people were saying they hope this match main events, and then, the match ended up happening like fourth to last or whatever. There were like 3 matches after it. And so it was great shit. It was great shit. Which, them ending the show with this is debatable, but it is what it is. Regardless of where on the show this took place, I think this was a great outing, man. This was a badass match, man. And great way to end the feud, and great way to kind of end it all. And so, and afterwards, like I said, you saw the words "the end" on the Titantron on the big screen, and Toni Storm was draped on Mariah May, laying on top of her afterwards and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So badass shit, man. Badass shit. And Toni Storm, timeless. Toni Storm is still your AEW Women's Champion. Moving on from that match of the year candidate to another match of the year candidate. This one being for the AEW International Championship. The current champion at the time, Konosuke Takeshita with Don Callis. He was on commentary throughout this match. 1-on-1 versus the returning Kenny Omega. You knew going in this was going to be something special. And by God, did these motherfuckers go in this match and prove it to everybody. Like, holy shit, man. These two guys went to the wire, fucking taking each other like this back and forth fucking blows, back and forth shots. Obviously for Takeshita, the focal point of it, the main focus of his attack was the midsection, the area that Kenny Omega had surgery on, because they mentioned, the diverticulitis. He had to have a bunch of his intestines removed, like 2 feet or 2 feet of his intestines removed, and so on and so forth. And Don Callis made mention of that. He kept saying, "Oh, it's a ticking time bomb. You never know, when his stomach is going to rupture." Blah blah blah. He kept mentioning that, and obviously Kenny Omega was selling it throughout this match, because Takeshita kept going after his midsection, shot after shot, hit him with, the elbows, the knee strikes, various moves in the ring. At one point, drove him onto a table that was, put sideways. And it was like, Jesus Christ, man. Kenny Omega took some abuse in this match. And boy, did he dish some out, man. Kenny Omega is still, after all the stuff that this man has gone through in his career, all the injuries, all the setbacks, the diverticulitis, the year before that, all the injuries he had to go through, for the year or so he was out with the vertigo and the ACL tear, the shoulder tear, all the injuries. This man still wrestles at such a level after all of that. And that's a testament to just how good this guy is. That's a testament to just what kind of a man, just how much dedication he has to the fucking wrestling business, man. And what a match this was, dude. This was fucking epic. Now, there were parts where you saw Don Callis try to get involved. Of course, Don Callis was just a fucking menace at ringside. Every now and then he would come in and try and fucking take shots at Omega, when they were fighting on the outside, when they're fighting inside the ring. But eventually, man, Omega got, he's persevered. He survived Takeshita's best shots, and these two guys went to the wire, man, for almost 30 minutes. This was close to a 30-minute match. They went 28 minutes, 30 seconds, I believe. Yeah, 28 minutes, 30 seconds. Almost a 30-minute match these two guys had. And it was fucking epic, dude. Every single minute from start to finish, just the storytelling, the sequences, the moves, the psychology, just everything about this match was just picture perfect. It was a picture perfect Takeshita match, picture perfect Kenny Omega match, and what a match it was, man. So finally it ends with both guys teasing, going for the finishers on each other, and both guys, pull each other down. Kenny Omega pulls, tries to get him in a pin cover. Takeshita reverses it. Omega reverses it, gets the emphasis on his shoulders, gets him in almost like a cradle slash crucifix pin, gets him, stacks Takeshita up, gets the 1, 2, 3, just like that. The match ends. Kenny Omega gets the victory, and Kenny Omega is your new AEW International Champion. What a fucking match. What a fucking outing. Kenny Omega is back, man. Kenny Omega is back, and once again, he holds gold in AEW. No doubt in my mind, no doubt in anyone's mind, that Kenny Omega, as good as he has looked since he's returned, that at some point he was going to recapture gold. And sure enough, he has here tonight. He is the new international champion. He gets a measure of revenge against Takeshita, for beating him, in those previous matches these two guys had years ago. He gets a measure of revenge against Don Callis. And after the match, Don Callis was not happy. He was visibly upset. He was yelling at Takeshita at ringside. So obviously that story is still being played. I'm sure it's going to be continued to be played. We'll see what happens. But Kenny Omega wins the night. Great moment. He holds up the international title. And the crowd was loving it, dude. The crowd was loving it, and social media was loving it. Kenny Omega is your new AEW International Champion. He's going to be a great, great champion for a long time to come. Good shit, man. Excellent, excellent shit. Excellent match. Great outing. Loved it. Loved every minute of this match. And we go from that to another match that I loved every bit of. And this one was a little more physical. This one was a little more eventful. And we get to the second to last match on this card. We get the steel cage match. Another grudge match here. Another match, rubber match, if you will, in a series. We got Will Ospreay one-on-one versus Kyle Fletcher, his former partner, his former stablemate in the United Kingdom, now part of course, of the Don Callis family. And these two guys obviously wrestled each other twice before, with Fletcher winning the first one, Ospreay winning the second one. This was the rubber match, the match 3. And this one, of course, was in the steel cage. So right out of the gate, these two guys just went at each other, just fought each other, beat the shit out of each other, back and forth, the cage. Obviously, they threw each other into the cage, a number of times. I believe Fletcher was the first to get busted open. He got driven face first into the cage, side first into the cage. And then eventually Ospreay got busted open. You saw a series of moves being hit. You saw some dives, from Ospreay off the second turnbuckle, or off the turnbuckle, off the ropes. Despite the cage, you would think that with a cage, he would be limited as to what he can do in terms of top rope moves. But he managed to pull it off, dude. He managed to pull off some of these moves. And so back and forth these guys went. This was another Another lengthy match. Went almost 30 minutes. 29 minutes. These guys went 29 minutes in this steel cage. Like, holy shit. At one point, Mark Davis came out. He made himself, a factor in this match. He came out with a pair of bolt cutters. He cut the fucking chain off the cage door, and he inserted himself into this match. He came in and attacked Will Ospreay. So obviously, he still has allegiance to Kyle Fletcher and the Don Callis family. So they beat on Ospreay for a bit. Then Ospreay fought back. Eventually took out Mark Davis. Hit him with a chair. Threw a chair at his face. Hit him with the hidden blade, driving the chair into his face. He gets knocked out of the ring, knocked out of the cage, and then they close the door back. They put another chain on the door to keep Mark Davis from getting out, or Mark Davis from getting back in. So Fletcher and Ospreay continue. At one point, Fletcher introduces the dreaded screwdriver, the same screwdriver that Don Callis is known for using. He hits Ospreay right in the face, right dead in the face with it. Hits him with a series of moves. Only gets some very close near falls. Ospreay kicks out of damn near everything. At one point, you had a bag of thumbtacks being introduced, because Mark Davis brought a bag into the ring with a bunch of weapons in it. And in this bag was a little black bag, and Fletcher poured thumbtacks in the ring, which at one point these thumbtacks were used because Will Ospreay came back, got back in the match, hit Kyle Fletcher with a Styles Clash, drove Kyle Fletcher right onto these fucking thumbtacks with this Styles Clash. Got a very close near fall. Kyle Fletcher had thumbtacks all over his fucking body. It was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And that was not the most memorable spot of this match. No, it wasn't, because these two guys continued to fight. They climbed, they scaled over the side of the cage. They were both on top of the cage. They were fighting on top of the cage. Will Ospreay had the screwdriver. The two guys fight over the screwdriver. Ospreay wins. He nails Fletcher right in the face, right dead in the face, right dead in the forehead with the screwdriver. So again, measure of revenge here. So then he takes Kyle, they're still positioned on top of the cage, grabs Kyle Fletcher, pulls him up, and they're on top of the cage, mind you. They're a good 15, 20 feet in the air. Stands up on the top of the cage. The crowd is like standing up, like, what the hell are these guys about to do? Freaking Will Ospreay grabs Fletcher, dives him, jumps off the cage with Kyle Fletcher, hits a freaking diving Spanish fly off the top of the steel cage, driving him fucking 15, 20 feet down into the mat, into the ring below. It was like, Jesus Christ, this spot was like, oh my God. A lot of people were saying, thank God nobody got hurt here, because that was a freaking nasty drop, nasty spot here. He ended with that fucking Spanish fly. I was like, Jesus Christ. Holy shit, man. But that was not the end of the match, because Will Ospreay had more. After that spot, like seconds after, Will Ospreay gets to his feet, grabs Kyle Fletcher, hits him with the Tiger Driver 98 in the middle of the ring. The same move he said he would never use, but he ended up using it here because, again, this is a grudge match. So he hits him with that, hits the Spanish fly off the top of the steel cage, right dead into the center of the ring. Hits him with the Tiger Driver 98. Fletcher is reeling, and again, he doesn't go for the pin right after that. Fletcher is reeling. He starts to come to. Ospreay sets him up. Obviously sets him up for the hidden blade. Fletcher gets to his knees. He starts yelling at Ospreay, saying, I hate you, you piece of shit, fuck you. And then soon after that, Ospreay puts him away, kind of like, you take the dog, to the woodshed. It was kind of like that moment here with Fletcher, where he's like, finish, he wanted to, he was going to finish him off after, Fletcher was yelling at him, fuck you, I hate you. And then Ospreay hits him with the hidden blade right dead in the ring, goes for the pin, gets the 1, 2, 3 in the win, and emphatically, finally, this match comes to a close. Will Ospreay gets the win. He downs his former protege, his former tag team partner, in Kyle Fletcher. He wins the series 2-1, and that is how this match ends mercifully. And so, man, what a fucking match this was. What a steel cage match this was. I already saw people on social media saying this was one of the best steel cage matches they've ever seen. I tend to agree. It's been a long time since we've seen a steel cage match this good. And it's like, holy shit, man, that diving Spanish fly spot, we're gonna see that being replayed until the end of time. Like, we're gonna see that so many times being replayed in AEW. It's like, holy shit, that was a death-defying spot. It was scary, but it was a badass spot, man. Will Ospreay wins. He puts away Kyle Fletcher. He puts away, once again, another nail to another, loss for the Don Callis family. So Don Callis obviously having their group now. His boy Takeshita, his man Takeshita lost the international title. Now his other boy, Kyle Fletcher loses here the Will Ospreay in the steel cage match. And so another excellent match. Great match, man. Match of the year candidate, match of the night candidate. There's not enough I can say about this match. It was that fucking good. You really have to watch it to see it. 29-minute match. 29 minutes they went in the steel cage. It was excellent adding. And then finally, we get our main event match of the night for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. The champion Jon Moxley defended against Adam Copeland, aka Cope. 26-minute match here, and there was a lot that went on here in this match. Now, I know a lot of people are going to complain about this match. I've already seen it. I saw it last night after it finished. I saw it here today on social media. There were a number of people complaining about this match, saying, "Oh, this wasn't as good as the previous matches, blah blah blah. Oh, this was a lackluster finish to the show, blah blah blah. Lackluster main event or lackluster world title match." And I'm just going to say here to anybody saying that, it's going to be to anybody who's complaining about this match. You have to understand, it was like you had three of the best matches we've seen all night. Three of the best matches we've seen in AEW in a long time. You had the Hollywood ending. You had Omega Takeshita, and you had that steel cage match with Ospreay and Fletcher. And you followed that up with this match, which it was a real slow pace. It was a typical, kind of like an old school, slow paced heel versus babyface world title main event match. That's what this was. Very slow pace. Moxley worked over Cope for most of this. He beat him down. Both guys took shots at each other in the beginning. Then Moxley started to work over Cope, started to beat him up in the ring, beat him up outside the ring. Very methodical in his attack, obviously going after the neck, focusing on the head and neck area of Cope. He did say that he was going to put Cope on the shelf. He was going to break his neck, in promos leading up to this match. And obviously the story here was that the Death Riders were taken out and Moxley was essentially on his own, which he ultimately wasn't, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, Mox worked over Cope for a majority of this match, focusing on the head and neck. Like I said, very methodical, very slow-paced match, which you would expect with these two guys. These are two older guys. You don't want to take a whole lot of chances, a whole lot of spots. You already had Cope, who got injured before diving off a steel cage, and he was out for, a number of months. And then, Mox is up there. I think Mox can wrestle, I think Mox is the kind of guy who can wrestle a match with just about anybody. He can wrestle any kind of a match, be it a death match or a high-paced match, fast-paced match. But they had these guys wrestle a slow pace, kind of a methodical type of match. And that's what this was. And that's what, it ended up being. And it was fine for what it was. People are going to complain for the sake of complaining, but that's what this was. So Mox beat up Cope. Fought on the outside for a bit. Cope just avoids getting pile driven on the outside on the exposed part of the floor. And Cope starts to make a comeback. They start to fight each other back and forth. At around the 20-minute mark, the referee gets inadvertently taken out by Cope. So we got a referee bump here. And as soon as that referee went down, I was like, yep, yeah, here we go. We got the shenanigans. Let's see what happens now. Because as soon as that ref got taken out, I was like, yeah, watch. Somebody's going to come out. Sure enough, about a minute or so later, after Cope hits like a series of hits like a spear or two, and then the two guys take each other out, sure enough, Wheeler Yuta comes out. Wheeler Yuta emerges from the back. Now, the story here is that Wheeler Yuta, we didn't know where his allegiances lie because on Dynamite, previously before this match, Yuta wrestled a match against Cope, which Cope won, and he kind of had a handshake, almost like a show of respect, so we didn't know where his allegiance lied. Was he still loyal to the Death Riders or not? Sure enough, we found out because Yuta got in the ring. He looked at both guys. Both guys came to. Wheeler Yuta ran, hit Cope right in the face with a running knee, and Mox smiled. And so obviously, he showed his allegiance. He is still loyal to the Death Riders. So the two of them start to gang up on Cope. They start to beat him up. At one point, there was two chairs. This was before. Wheeler Yuta came out. Moxley teased going for the concerto on Cope. Cope countered that. And then again, at this point in the match, Mox and Yuta started beating on Cope, double teaming. And again, all this while the referee was down. So then eventually Jay White comes out. Jay White fights off Wheeler Yuta. Of course, we see Jay White ally with Cope in the past. So Jay White fights off Wheeler Yuta, knocks him out, takes him out of the ring. He grabs the briefcase that the world title is in, goes to hit Mox with it. He inadvertently hits Cope in the face with it, and then Wheeler Yuta grabs him. The two of them fight, out of the ring, and they fight up the rampway to the back. Moxley continues the offense. Moxley and Cope go back and forth for like another couple minutes. Eventually, Cope hits a series of spears in the ring. Then the referee goes to count. 1, 2, then suddenly out of nowhere, a masked figure comes out, pulls the referee out of the ring. He takes the mat hood off, and it's revealed to be Christian. Christian Cage comes out. He's looking at the referee. He has the contract in his hand. And then Cope looks out, obviously after, the referee, he interrupt the referee's count. Christian hits Cope in the face with the contract, hits him in the face with the case or whatever. So then he goes, opens the contract, signs it, hands the referee. Referee makes the announcement that Christian Cage has been added to the world title match, so it is now a three-way match for the AEW World title. Christian gets to the ring, hits Cope with a spear, goes for the pin, 1, 2, Cope kicks out. Christian can't believe it. He's starting to panic. He grabs Cope, pulls him down, hits him with the kill switch, goes for another pin, 1, 2, Moxley comes in, grabs Christian, pulls him down, has him in the Bulldog Sleeper, has him, has his head locked in the Bulldog Sleeper. So Moxley is on top of Christian at this point. He's got him in this submission. Christian is fighting, trying to escape. He can't. Moxley's got him firm. He's got a firm grip on this submission. So then, Cope at this point is out. Christian reaches his arm over on top of Cope. The referee counts 1, 2. Moxley pulls him off, and he continues, with this Bulldog Sleeper. He's got him. He keeps wrenching. And about 10 or so seconds later, Christian slowly, after he, struggles to get out, slowly starts to pass out. The referee sees it. Referee grabs his arm. He calls for the bell. The match ends. Jon Moxley gets the win. Jon Moxley is still the champion. Jon Moxley escapes despite everything that Cope gave him, despite everything Christian Cage, tried to cash in. And so this was a failed cash-in attempt for Christian Cage. Jon Moxley overcomes all that. Jon Moxley survives, and Jon Moxley remains your AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Pretty, I'll say that, a heck of a sequence of events to close out this match. So for all the complaints of people saying, this match was boring, blah, 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 this shouldn't have main evented, da, da, da. It ended up being an eventful match, and it was fine for what it was. And this match was not bad. For anybody saying this match was bad, I strongly disagree. Was it the quality-wise, was it the best match on the show? No, it wasn't. Obviously not. But it served its purpose. It served its purpose in the sense that it basically, not only did it further the current storylines, but it also introduced new storylines at the end. And you saw storylines being played into at the end of this match. In terms of Moxley, in terms of obviously Wheeler Yuta and his, him still aligning with the Death Riders, in terms of Christian Cage. Now we're possibly going to see Christian Cage and Cope get back into that program. Maybe we're going to see Cope and Jay White down the line, because he inadvertently hit Cope with the briefcase. Yeah, again, albeit inadvertently. And Mox is still your world's champion. So Mox escapes. He takes his briefcase. He walks through the crowd. So then suddenly, as he's about to leave the arena, Prince Nana appears. He starts to argue. Prince Nana gets up in Mox's face. The two of them start to argue. And all of a sudden, we see Swerve Strickland, who's perched on the top of the elevated, the entryway. He gets on top of it. He dives off, hits freaking Moxley, dives on top of Moxley with a stomp. And, you see a whole bunch of, obviously all the security guys freaking, who are around him. Freaking Swerve dives on top of them, on top of Moxley, hits him with a Swerve stomp. And afterwards, Moxley retreats, Swerve stands tall, and that's how the pay-per-view goes off there. So, of course, if you remember, Swerve Strickland defeated Ricochet early in the night, and thus he is the new number one contender. And so now we're setting up Moxley versus Swerve for the AEW World title. That program is going to start very obviously right after the show. So that's basically what they were teasing, what they were promoting going forward at the end of the show. So for me, I'm okay with the main event. I thought it was a solid match. Obviously, both guys were protected. You didn't want to have these guys do too much, especially Cope, with his previous injury. So I think it was a slow match. It served its purpose. You had storylines being developed. potential feuds, potential future matches being developed. You protect Cope, you protect Mox, keep them from getting hurt, so on and so forth. And the match was solid. The match was fine for what it was. So anybody complaining, hey, it happens, but nonetheless, I thought it was a solid main event, and I thought it was a good way to cap off the show. So whether or not this match should have main evented is debatable, but you should always want to close out with a World Heavyweight title match. That's just me. But anyway, so that was pretty much everything. So those were all the matches, and that finishes off, I should say, to me, one of the best AEW pay-per-views we have seen in the company's history. And this was just AEW's first pay-per-view of the year, and it's already a show of the year candidate. It is that good. Just that 4-match span at the end of that show with the Hollywood ending, the Omega Takeshita match, the Steel Cage match, the main event, and several other matches throughout this card. This is not a weak card at all. This is a strong card from top to bottom. That's why I say this has the potential to be one of the best pay-per-views in pro wrestling history, and I'll stand by that, and I will debate anybody on that. So with that being said, that's pretty much going to do it. So for my money, for my review, excellent show. The final hour, the final 4 matches were excellent. Great stuff. Great way to finish off the show. Good shit, man. AEW's future is very bright. This was a great pay-per-view. Great fucking pay-per-view. If I had to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10, for me, I give it a 10 out of 10, man. 10 out of 10. Perfect grade. Perfect score for me. Perfect pay-per-view. Absolutely. You could not have booked this any better. Maybe with certain things, with elements with the main event and how the show finished, but for me, I thought it worked. And I thought it did well in establishing future storylines going forward. So for me, for my money, great show, great pay-per-view. AEW Revolution 2025 was an excellent show and a success. And I give it a 10 out of 10. And that is my thoughts on the show. That is my recap. That is my review. And that is my grade for the pay-per-view. So that's pretty much going to do it for that. So thank you for watching this video. Sorry if it ran kind of long. We're 46 minutes in, but I had a lot to get to. I had a lot to say. When I talk about AEW, things I'm passionate about, I can tend to talk a lot. I can tend to ramble on quite a bit. So with that being said, that's pretty much going to do it for this review, for this recap of AEW's Revolution 2025 pay-per-view. One of the best pay-per-views in AEW's history, one of the best pay-per-views in pro wrestling history, and we'll see where AEW goes going forward. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, so thank you guys for watching once again. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts on the show. What was your favorite match? What was your highlight of the night? What did you think of my review? Anything like that. Go ahead and hit me up. Let me know in the comments what you think. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, man, if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support I can get. And with that being said, that is pretty much going to do it once again, man. So thank you for watching once again this AEW Revolution 2025 pay-per-view recap review video. And I'm going to be giving you guys some more content very soon. So be tuning into the channel, and you're going to get some more content here on the channel, man. I got a lot of stuff planned. So, and not just with AEW, not just with these wrestling reviews, recaps, stuff like that, with a number of different things I plan on doing on this channel. So you'll be seeing that very quickly, you'll be seeing that very soon, in the very near future. But anyway, that's all I got to say for this video. Thank you for watching once more. Till next time, I'm the Wrestling Otaku, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out. Peace.